Hockey town, going down to hockey town, whoa, whoa. Hockey town, take me down to hockey town, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello, hockey fans. The Minnesota Hockey Connection is on the air. We're at the PACT-TV studios in Duluth, and it's another week of hockey, Monday, November 22nd. And today we got a special guest. We got the new head coach of Duluth East boys hockey team, Steve Petrosia. Welcome, Coach.
Very good to see you.
Yeah. So how's it going so far?
It was a good first week.
Yeah?
It was fun. Good group of kids.
So a lot of people, you're taking over a coach that's been there over 30 years, and a lot of people say, who would want that job?
Yeah. But
So,
but you know what? Someone's got to do it. And,
Yep.
you know, this program means the world to me, and I've spent a lot of time in it. And so coming back to pitch in a little bit, it was a no-brainer for me. Plus, I got to move home, and, you know, I'm excited to be back.
yeah, I was at your Woodbury scrimmage on Saturday, and I'd walked up to you, and all of a sudden I'm looking around, and holy cow, this is like a Duluth East reunion, because all your coaches are, besides Casey here, is all Duluth East former players.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's good to be able to have guys that are willing to give back to the program. You know, Dylan Mills, his experience coaching varsity hockey with Coach Randolph, you know, that was a no-brainer to me.
He's done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. You know, Millsy and I were teammates back in the early '90s, and so and then Matty Mathias, who I coached with at the Bantam program for several years, just another good guy and a good hockey mind. You know, someone that I coach with, and then you know the other guys from Duluth East are kids that played for me in the Bantams, and Stephen Hollipa and Troy Olson also coached with me at the Bantams. So yeah, it's nice to have a little Duluth East flavor, but it's also good to have some different opinions come in, and so I was fortunate enough. The guy who helped me in Omaha last year was willing to move up, and Casey Cutler, and you know he's got a wealth of knowledge. Spent time with the New York Rangers, with the Omaha Lancers, scouted for the WHL. You know, so it's nice to have a new perspective and someone who's not biased by what we've done around here for years.
Well, give us a little bio of your whole hockey career. I mean, coaching, and you played at East. When did you graduate? And
I graduated in '94. I was fortunate enough to play for Coach Randolph, and
Okay.
and you know I learned a lot. And I've told people who've asked me since I've been hired, like he's really the foundation for which the coach I've become, as far as how I believe the game should be played. A lot of those rules and tenets of East hockey are things that I believe in firmly, and he was a great coach, and I was fortunate enough to be on his staff for a year, and he asked me to take over his Bantam program, and I was there for 17 years and got to work with a lot of the
17 years at the Bantam. Wow.
Yeah, and so I got to work with a lot of good hockey players and fine young men over that time, and then Coach Flaherty asked if I'd be willing to come up and work with him, and he was my Bantam coach, and so it was a nice chance to, get a little bit different perspective on hockey and a different level, and go work with my former coach, and unfortunately Coach Flaherty got sick, and we all know what happened there, and and then after that it was kind of a man without a country, and my former D partner, Mark Avalon, was coaching down in Sioux City.
I was going to ask you that. Do you
and,
still talk to your former, but he was your co-coach in Bantams too for many years.
Yeah, Mark was my assistant on the Bantam team for 12 years, I think, and we really did things together. Head assistant. It was it was a good collaboration, and he had kind of paved the way for me to come down and help out in Sioux City a little bit. And while I was down there, I got a call from Coach Dave Wilkie, and offered me a spot in Omaha to coach 16U Tier 1 midgets. And along with that came the opportunity to work with the Omaha Lancers as well. And, so got to spend 2 years down there working with USHL guys in that league, and learned a lot, whether it's the video or, just different X's and O's. But, and you learn a lot about what, elite players are really craving, and I think that's a big thing, because we have a lot of kids in this program that want to be elite. And so to kind of help them with that roadmap it was nice to learn.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, about how to get these kids to be elite players. But I just want to, you're talking Brendan Flaherty, and we talked about Coach Randolph. I'm going to bring in a couple more in the Northland, Bruce Plant and Kevin Smalley. All these coaches, they put tons of years into their high school programs. And now the two senior members are Pat Andrews and Dale Jagle at 5 years. Isn't that, to me, it's just mind-boggling. Like, you don't, wait a minute, these other guys have been around for 100 years, it seemed like. And
yeah, and, I think all those guys, have such a fabulous reputation and did such great things, and everybody around here is, pretty grateful for the time and efforts that they've put in to, foster the talent around the area. And, but, coaching nowadays is a pretty, revolving door. And so, I don't suspect I'll be anywhere close to Coach Randolph's 32 years. We'll just hoping to get through the next 3.5 months at this point.
Right.
So,
1 year at a time.
Yeah, that's right. It's a lot of time and effort, and honestly, there's not a lot of people that want to, volunteer nowadays.
I'll tell you what, it is a volunteer job, and I'll give all you guys and for you stepping up right now to help out in the Northland here, because I think hockey needs some good coaches, and we need these programs to stay up on top, because pretty soon, I don't know where hockey's going, but it's not looking good up north with the numbers and everything. And we'll talk about a little bit about numbers down the line too. But let's get a little bit about your team. I know a little bit about some of the players coming back, and I watched a couple of your elite players that played in the Elite League, Upper Midwest Elite League, Winkler and Christian. And both those kids can really move the puck, and I see good things, and they're only juniors too. But who else do you think can help this team this year?
Well, I think one of the benefits that we have is that we do have a lot of depth, and we've got, good senior leadership up front with Lars Berg, Wyatt Zwak, and Dylan Erickson, and then Tyler Smith on the back end. So we've got good senior leadership with that team, and we've got a lot of talent in our sophomore and junior class. Thomas Gunderson is going to be a fine hockey player. Wyatt Peterson's another one that I think has a very bright future in the game. And there's a couple other kids, Aiden Spenningsby, who's, looks like he's on the cusp to break out a little bit, just tireless worker, good defensive 200-foot center. There's the pot's not bare, that's for sure. And we got a freshman defenseman in Brody Olson, coming in after 2 years of Bantam hockey. Looks pretty comfortable right now. We'll see once the bullets start flying, so to speak, in the regular season, how comfortable he still seems. But it's a good core.
I was just looking on the back end. A lot of those players got a few games in last year on the back end, and that's good to have a little experience, and then I'll learn but they got Dylan Mills, still, so it's not going to change too much probably, and the way you guys are going to handle the back end.
Yeah.
And I think, right away, I was just watching your power play in that with Gundy and Christian and Winkler moving the puck, and you'll probably interchange the other two until you find the right group in that, but I think you're going to have a good power play, because you got a lot of good skaters.
We do. We're fast, and obviously growing up in this program, if there was one thing that Coach Randolph loved, it was the ability to skate. And you can tell that these kids have been, bred with that growing up. And, it says it in our locker room, speed kills, and we believe in that. It's the most important part of the game. We have a lot of team speed, and, we're not huge,
Right.
I've been joking this weekend that I've ordered more smalls and mediums in apparel than I probably ever have in my career, but, they're tough kids. They're good kids. They work hard. They've got great attitudes. So I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what they have to bring this season.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. I don't think you'll be a big physical team, but you're going to be a team that can move the puck, and you got some skaters. And in high school, if you're not a skater, it's hard. I mean, because nowadays these kids are faster, stronger, bigger, and 5-on-5, if you don't get to open spaces, you don't have a chance. And that's
Absolutely.
why special teams are going to be important too.
Oh, without a doubt, they always are. The power play penalty kill percentages usually are a pretty good indication on where your team, is in the win-loss record. And we've already started doing some new things with them. Whether it's our video that we're working on, using a lot of stuff to teach with, and
Right.
And they've adjusted to it pretty well.
It's amazing how hockey's changed where, like you just mentioned, video. I've got some of these coaches, these high schools put a lot of money into these video systems and that whole, it's amazing what they can do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but that's the way the game's taught at the next level, and
Right.
part of our job to develop kids is to have them prepared when they get those opportunities at the next level, and they shouldn't be shocked by using film to learn, and seeing film to improve their own game, film of themselves. So
Right. Well, I know myself watching every level of hockey and seeing, not counting last year, but about 400 games a year and living the rink. I must love the game.
yeah,
But
you sure do.
when you're younger, you gotta skate. You gotta skate. Everyone comes up to me, what should I do? What camp? Just teach your kid how to skate first of all. Then have your kid on off time shooting pucks, doing the other little things. You shouldn't be able to have to tell them this stuff. If you want to be an elite player, just go out and do it. But skating is number one. But when you get a little older, when you get like your 16 U's and 18 U's, if you don't start getting stronger, you're going to get bypassed. You got to get in that weight room, and it's a different game now. You got to be pound for pound strong.
Absolutely, it's a mind, body, and soul game. You better you have to prepare yourself mentally. You better be putting the right nutrition and drinking enough water during the day, and you got to get into the gym.
Right.
And it's got to be a combination of lifting weights and working on flexibility and a lot of body weight and resistance training. And at this point of the year, we're just hoping we can maintain as much as they came in with their off-season training.
Right.
And but we're doing that every morning, or I should say a couple mornings a week at the school now. So they've bought in. One thing with this group of kids, all of them have bought into what we've been doing.
That's great.
And it's been an absolute treat to be around.
Yeah, I go to I go to the Wilderness North American Hockey League, some of those games, and it's kind of funny when they start having tryouts in the beginning of the season. Well, I was down at the showcase when they had every team from the North American Hockey League, and 2 days there, my head's going, what the heck's going on here? Everything seems the same. Every player looks alike. It's crazy. But so the third thing I always tell a lot of people, if you don't get smart in this game, you probably won't go that far. Even if you can skate and you're strong, if you don't get smart with this game, you got to be a smart player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the game weeds everybody out at some point for some
Yep.
reason, and hockey IQ is a big reason for a lot of young players. And I think one of the things that I've noticed, in the era of cell phones and tablets, you don't see a lot of kids watching, sitting down and watching hockey games anymore. It's watching, highlight clips on their phone, just 2-minute little shots here and there. And So they're really seeing is that glory around the net. It's not, they don't actually see that that all developed 2 zones away and how we got there. And so that is a challenge, no doubt. But there are still, again, it comes back to, this is, no matter what you're doing, you better have some passion for it, and your preparation away from the rink when there's no coaches telling you what to do or trainers telling you what to do, and you go out there and do it. Those are the kids that typically seem to move on.
Right.
So.
And another, you just mentioned something around the net there. I wish more kids would get to the net. Somehow, a lot of these kids, they're tough before the game starts, but then once the game starts, well, how come you're not going to the net? How come?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think we see it at a lot of USA hockey all around is the love of the cycle, right? Like it looks beautiful throwing that puck back in the corner and having someone fill in spots, and you look like you're really doing something. But if you don't get to the net, how effective is that cycle really? So
right.
100% agree with you. Getting to the net is a big thing. It's actually something we've talked about quite a bit this last week.
I'll tell you one thing over the years, and I think even Coach Randolph, I mean, he really did a good job in this, is getting a tough schedule. And you still have a very good schedule. And I hope you guys can keep that up, And
Me too.
Because I think now, if you wanted to, I think Hermantown and you guys should be able to get together and that once a year at least, But, boy, Chaska, Rapids is going to be very good this year, but we don't know what's going on after this year. Eden Prairie's down, but they're still a top 15 team.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Because the numbers on that west side of these schools, they can get rid of a third of their players to these private schools. They're good players in Bantams and that, and still be a top team,
It's incredible, really. My buddy Eric Vetch, who was up this weekend, who's the head coach at Hopkins, we talked about it a lot. He's right there in that southwest suburb, bordered on Minnetonka,
Yeah.
Edina, Eden Prairie, and then you've got Benilde, Holy Family, and that's a gauntlet. It's surprising they even have hockey programs anymore in some of those little towns around, those little areas in there that don't push it.
Well, look at when you were coaching in Bantams and that, Wayzata, for years, they were top team in Bantams almost every year.
Yeah.
Now it's Maple Grove and that kind of program, but it's amazing how Wayzata can lose 6 top players that are D1 players, go to these private schools and still be a top team. It just amazes me.
Yeah, strength in numbers, right?
Yep.
Look at Edina. It's interesting to look at the teams around that area, that border Edina.
Right.
How many Edina kids are playing on some of those other teams?
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Some of them are afraid that they might not make their team, so then now they're
yeah,
whatever works, I guess.
yeah.
So, what do you like about your schedule, and who are you looking forward to playing this year?
Well, right now we're looking forward to playing White Bear Lake because that's the
First game.
That's the first game on
First game.
on the schedule. It'll be interesting to see what Grand Rapids and Andover have, just because they're going to be 2 of the formidable opponents in the section.
I'll tell you that they're going to be very good.
Yeah, they are. I've watched a lot of those kids play on those teams, and they are going to be very good.
And Andover just got the best offensive player from Elk River.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So they're a very good team, very well coached now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that Rogers team has a lot of young talent on it
Right,
too.
they're an up and coming, program.
The Rinaldo kid, he's dynamite, and Chase Cheslock on that team is pretty good too. And that's not a traditional powerhouse that I think you'll see open a lot of eyes.
Right.
And of course, it's always exciting to play Eden Prairie, Minnetonka,
Right.
and another northern
Right, North
rival
Slope,
in Moorhead. Moorhead's
Well, I'll tell you right now, if I had to say any program outside of the Twin Cities, that has to be top to bottom the best program out there right now.
yeah, they do
To
it
me,
right.
in my opinion.
It's tough to argue with you. They do it right. Everything they do continues to grow the game
Right.
out there, and it's one of the few areas in the state that you do see continued growth year after year.
Well, you get Colin and all these ex-players that come back and help out in the summer. They give money. They built all these new rinks, and
Yeah.
you can't go wrong doing that.
Right, no doubt.
So let's get back to Northland hockey. Numbers are down for everyone. How do we fix it? I ask every year coaches this, and we just can't seem to solve this problem.
Yeah, it's the thing that's tough to combat. I think is you can go buy a pair of sneakers and go to the Y and play basketball. I mean, you need a facility that costs a lot of money. You need equipment that costs a lot of money, and these are all tough things to overcome. I think if we can continue to try to get some young kids in playing and they can have some fun and we've got to just make sure we continue to make an environment where kids want to come out and enjoy themselves and continue to put good people in place where they have the right priorities, I think, and not that we haven't had that in the past, but, I think if we're going to get on the right track, those are the things we need to do.
Maybe like back in my time, we just hung out at the rink all the time. We lived there.
Right.
And I mean, when every time it was light out, we're not in school, we're in the rink, So we're all rink rats. And that's why these teams, they might only have 3 or 4 top end players, but those 3 or 4, when they needed, they could do something.
No doubt. I mean, myself, I would love to see the Squirts not play inside until, maybe the playoffs at the end of the year. I think we get a lot of kids now that they don't spend that time at the outdoor rink ratting because they're not practicing there, and
maybe that's what they should do when you're skirt age, get all your friends in the neighborhood and have these new kids that never skated before, give them skates, have some skating coaches that come around all the time and help these new kids, they're with their friends. That's
Right.
the best thing about Minnesota hockey, community hockey, playing with your friends and that. And if we can get more kids just to get on skates and then playing with their friends, just have fun.
I agree.
Don't organize.
Yeah.
I think that can be a start. That's just one of my ideas, but I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I think, one of my favorite parts of growing up was my parents dropping me off in the morning on their way to work during Christmas break at Lower Chester, with $1
Yep.
for a hot dog at lunch. And, they'd come back after work to check on us to make sure we were still alive and no one wanted to kill us. And, we'd hang out there until practice was done and they shut the lights off at 9 o'clock at night, And I know when I was coaching the Bantams, we used to give them 2 weeks off at Christmas break so that they could go back and do that,
Right.
and because those are important. That's the benefit we have living here. We're not in Chicago where it's $500 an hour for ice. You
Right.
Go down to the park and with your buddies, whether it's a tennis ball or a puck or whatever. All those things are just awesome to develop hockey players.
I remember coming out of St. Anthony's School over on 11th Avenue East and 8th Street, and we go over to Lower Chester, and the Traxels and all of us went to St. Anthony's Randolph's.
Yep.
And we go over there. Then I get scared when Rip Williams gets mad at something. Holy cow, that guy, I don't know why, that guy scared me every time. Had to run back home and go over to Central Field.
Yeah, Rip was awesome. He was my Squirt A coach. Him and
Yeah.
Butch coached me in Squirt A together. I was really blessed growing up at Lower Chester because I was pretty much raised by those great cathedral teams.
Right.
My first coach
That's
ever
when I
was John Devich.
Yeah.
and
John went to St. Anthony's too. We
yeah,
all-
right. And he ended up being running the D at East when I was a sophomore too.
Okay.
And so and Danny Wright.
Yeah,
and,
Danny Wright.
And,
All St. Anthony's
all
boys.
all those guys, and then even into Bantams, I know that Coach Flaherty wasn't a part of the heyday or the glory days of Cathedral hockey, but he was still another guy out of there a little bit later. So yeah, I mean, I was raised by pretty great hockey minds. I was pretty blessed in that regard. I mean, Mickey Farrell and
Right.
and so,
Mickey
and
Bless their souls. A lot of them,
yeah, I just the fact that that's where I got to grow up playing hockey. Like, it's no wonder that I love it as much as I do.
Yeah, everyone loved the game. The coach that did this, I mean, it was great times.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny you just mentioned your dad and that. We're in Little League together, and your grandpa coached us and that. Your grandpa was a good guy.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
He was a good coach.
He's got that. My dad has that picture hanging in the basement. So
Your dad was a pitcher, and I couldn't pitch because I was 12 years old then. So I was a catcher in that.
Yeah.
Those are good times too.
yeah, they love baseball.
That's when we played different sports all the time.
Right.
And that sad to me, but probably can't happen anymore because it's hard. If you don't keep up with the Jonesies, or you're
Yeah, but I mean, I certainly am not discouraging anybody that wants to play other sports. You know, I loved playing football. I
Right.
loved playing baseball, and
that's what we did.
and I know if there's one thing that I've never been able to put together since I've left high school, it's a pickup football game. That's real football.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you'll never find 30 guys willing to put on pads at our age to go out there and
Right.
bang around, right? So that window is pretty short if you're a kid, and you only get one chance at childhood. So I have a hard time really, deflecting anybody away from playing other sports. With that said, if we got a talented player that's got a future in the game, certainly we'll discuss it with them. These are the pros and cons of it.
Right.
But I'm never going to tell a kid you can't do this or you can't do that.
Right. Well, going back to the Twin Cities, I mean, they got all these programs like MAP, and boy, that's a program that's really helped a lot of these kids down in the Twin Cities. How come they don't have these kind of programs up here?
Yeah, you know how Duluth is. It's tough to get people to change from how they've always done it.
Yeah,
And so,
Duluth is a tough city.
but it's actually one of the things that we've kind of discussed since taking over is what's the viability of running an academy of some sort up here, and,
Right.
and giving kids an option to train. You see it in so many other activities where kids are starting to put their school around their interests, whether it's science or sports or music or anything, and I think eventually that's going to get up here, and we're working on maybe seeing if we can facilitate that in the right direction.
Right. Yeah, I hope we can get hockey going again back here. But so Friday night you play White Bear down at White Bear.
Yeah.
And that'll be your first game, and you get to see the JV plays. And then you go over and play a tough Chaska team on Saturday over at Big,
Yep.
Bloomington Ice Gardens. So that's at 3 o'clock, the varsity game at Big. So if anyone's down in the cities, Duluth East will be at White Bear Lake at the Vadnais Heights rink, and then Big on Saturday at 3. Well, Coach, thanks for coming, and good luck this season, and good luck Friday night in your first game.
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate
Yes.
it. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to the crew at PACT-TV for producing the show, Jim, Liz, and Vicky. Have a good day, and see you at the rink.